What's up, guys? Kyle here with Carrie Tobias, CrossFit Games athlete as of this year, pending whatever is going to go on with this coronavirus. Hope fingers are crossed that is
Oh,
fun.
hopefully.
So Blacklisted Voice, episode 7 here. Carrie, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I'm Carrie Tobias. I'm 29 years old, actually about to turn 30 in about a month. I've
Happy
been,
birthday.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. And actually, side note, I was supposed to turn 30 in Las Vegas this year, which thanks to COVID-19, that will not be happening. But
Yeah.
anyway, so about to turn 30 years old. I have been competitively training CrossFit for over 8 years now. I own my own CrossFit affiliate in Cypress, Texas, which is north of Houston. So I've been training CrossFit, doing CrossFit, teaching CrossFit for many years. I've been competitive and training on a competitive level for like 5+ years. And I finally have earned a spot at the hopefully to happen 2020 CrossFit Games. So that's kind of what brought us together and brought me to Blacklisted HQ.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of seeing what happens with the season.
So how did you earn your spot to the games?
So that's a whole story in itself, but I actually ended up qualifying through the Open as a national champion.
Okay.
So my home country is Romania. I was actually born in Romania. I was adopted at a young age. My birth mom was actually only 14 years old when she had me. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so she was only 14 years old. My mom and dad who adopted me and ended up bringing me to the States actually went over to Romania because they couldn't have kids and they were looking to help and adopt children. I was actually lucky enough to be born in 1990, which was 2 years after Romania became a free country. So back in 1990, it was like a really big thing that Romania is free from communism and there's a lot of like orphans and babies that need to be like helped and adopted that were in these orphanages. So my parents ended up seeing that. And my dad is actually from Romania too. So they're like, hey, we need to go over there and adopt children. So, long story short, they made the trip over and my mom spent almost 8 months living in Romania. She was able to communicate through speaking French. And she actually came in contact with my birth mom who was pregnant with me at the time. And again, only 14 years old. So she met her when she was pregnant with me and they ended up, meeting and making a verbal agreement that whenever I would be born, I would be brought over to the States. So that was made and I was adopted and brought over here. In Romania, their laws are, if you, right of soil. So being born in Romania and having, birth parents that are still over there and, my heritage being Romanian, I have held on to citizenship. So I became a dual citizen of the United States and Romania back in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the new rules that came out, what was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I think 2 years ago. Yep.
2 years ago. Yeah, they changed the format. And, when they first announced it too, like we didn't even realize like what the rules were. I think there was such confusion then. Like no one really knew what the rules were.
It was like it was the Wild West, and now with COVID, it's like the Wild West
Oh
again.
God, yeah, even worse.
Like 2 years in a
So
row.
like no one really knew what was going on. So I didn't even think of it. We kind of just assumed that you had to live in the country that you were, representing. And I remember watching, I think it was the first year that they did this 2019 Open. And by this point too, I wasn't really taking the Open as serious anymore. The regionals was gone. I thought that was a kind of lost cause. I actually shifted focus over to back to Olympic weightlifting, which I do compete at as well. So I was kind of just focusing on that, thinking that was my only chance, to be competitive. I think it was week 3, Alessandra Pacelli was doing the Open announcement and they went on a whole side story about her and about how she was representing Italy. And, everybody knows she lives in, I don't know if it's Canada, the United States, or
she's like Canadian or like, but she lives in like California. Like
right.
Hers is
And
weird.
she's lived in other countries her whole life, kind of like me, So she was still able to represent her home country of Italy.
Right.
And I'll never forget this because I just remember seeing Michael's jaw drop and just look at me. He's like, oh my God, like you could be a national champion for Romania. And we immediately get on the lead. This is 3 weeks in already. So we get on the leaderboard and we kind of do the math. And I mean, it wasn't much math because, Romania is a very small country compared to the States. And I would have been leading the country. So we kind of kept on it. And then I finished the Open and actually like really started trying. And turns out in 2019, I would have actually won national champion for Romania then.
Yeah.
Of course, I even emailed CrossFit. I was like, can I switch over? Can I, no, you need to represent the country you signed up as. I was like, okay, cool. So then after that open, it wasn't even a full year because we ended up switching open over to fall.
October. Yep.
Yeah. So that's when, from the time of the open in spring that or March was it, we went into, okay, hey, mindset, you are going to train as hard as you can and get ready to, qualify through the open. And that's what led us to the open, 2020 open. And that was a crazy 5 weeks, 5 weeks. I actually got probably the worst workouts that I could. And the funny thing is,
to qualify.
Yes, I barely there is the former national champion of Romania who went in 2019, and she's an amazing athlete too. Me and her head to head. And the first,
have you messaged her at all on Instagram?
We did talk.
Okay,
we talked barely. We barely talked right in the beginning. She reached out to me first through Instagram. Yeah. Okay. So she obviously didn't have any idea who I was. I kind of just snuck in there. So week 1 on the leaderboard, I go out, and of course I know what I'm training for. And I think that she didn't really have too much competition leading up to me coming in, as far as, having to really fight for it. So going into that first week, I think I beat her in the workout by 7 seconds. Not even, it was close. It was really, really close. And that's what obviously brought me onto her radar. So I think that's when she reached out. She did some research, looked into me, and then we exchanged a little conversation, friendly talk, but still kind of hey, I see you, So that's what started it. And then she made a comment later on that she had only done that workout one time, where I retested it. Funny thing is, I think I retested every workout in the open, this last open, and did not do better on any of them. I actually, my first
all of them?
Besides one. Yeah, I think 20.2, I retested and did a little better, but all the other ones, my first attempt was my best attempt.
Was your best attempt? Interesting.
Yeah, I did not do better in any of them, but I ended up retesting it, but still, entering my first score in. And,
right.
Through the open, I think she won week 2. She beat me in week 3, and so I was down by a workout.
Yeah.
That brought us into week 4, and then I think I won week 4. Yeah, I ended up winning week 4.
Jerks and pistols.
Oh yes, yeah, I definitely won.
So that was probably was that an okay workout for you?
The best, one of my best. That's a great workout. Yeah. So I was super excited for that one. Actually, I think the last workout I did the best in the open.
Okay.
This year, but me heavy lifting and stuff is definitely what I like to do. So
right.
I won that one, but then still going into week 5. If she would have won that, we would have been tied as far as overall standings. But if I would have won, I would have won. So it was that was a very, very stressful.
Yeah, man.
And especially I know, and then but it was so cool because 20.5 was strategy. That was the first time they brought in that element of, okay, are you fit and can you strategize? So luckily, I remember Logan was actually in town for that workout, and he was able to be with me on the first day. Oh, actually, I did do better on that one too, the second run. So 2 of them I did better on.
Okay.
Because that one, I think you had to redo that one. It was, you got to give it a test run and then re-strategize and come back. So
right. There's your first strategy, and then you kind of make some adjustments after that first strategy. Yeah.
I changed completely. I went in with a 5-round plan.
Okay.
And re-strategized and did a certain amount of rounds and a big set of calories, certain amount of rounds, big set of calories. And that's what we ended up going with. And it was, I ended up doing really, really, really well. So
right.
My spot. Yeah.
Right on. That's sweet. That's cool. I didn't, for those of you that don't know, Logan is Carrie's coach. But I didn't know that it was that close. I thought you had walked away with it. So
no. It was putting in the score, and she's on, she's in Italy. She lives in Italy. So her time, I think it was when the cutoff was 3 a.m. for them or something. Their time was way off. So her scores, obviously, if affiliate owners don't actually have to validate the scores until technically Wednesday. Right. So they could have held off her score for days, and they actually would hold it off. Mine would probably go in first. But of course, I
Okay.
would wait until the cutoff because obviously you don't want it validated seeing the score and then her going in and doing it, and trying to get
Right,
a better
right.
score. So we played the game too. But I think the
Yeah.
last week I waited till that last cutoff, put mine in. I remember I didn't sleep at all that night, waking up and I think one of my coaches and friends ended up texting me, and my phone started blowing up in that morning when I woke up, and it was just like, you did it, you did it, you did it. Her score was in. So
Oh, sweet,
yeah,
sweet.
that was a
Was
pretty cool day.
the video review process stressful for you?
It was just because it took so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it because regionals, that we did it for regionals.
Right.
Even though I actually only made it to regionals my last year, I was actually within 10, 15 spots of regionals for 4 years.
Oh
So I
man.
still had to submit videos almost every year. Because even though
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
not in the qualifying top, I mean, if you're still one of those top, when it was 50, I think it was top 60 athletes. And then when it got down to 20, it was 30, 35
Yeah.
they would
Oh,
ask
so you
for.
were 2014. You were. Oh, they didn't ask for videos in 2014.
No, so it wasn't that far back. I mean, I think maybe 3 years. It was a couple years that I had to submit videos.
Okay. Yeah.
That I didn't actually make it. So maybe it was 20. We'd have to go back and look, but
Yeah.
I was close within
Yeah.
the past couple years. So,
Right.
and then, so even then when I wasn't actually qualifying, it was still stressful because you're kind of like, oh my gosh, what are they going to see? Are they going to be, and I always never
Right.
had any issues with my videos, but
Okay.
especially
Okay.
for the games. I mean, and this was the most terrifying because one issue, I mean, that would, if I even say I submitted a video and some of our workouts were super close within, like I
Right.
said, seconds. So say they would have asked for video one and been like, oh, because remember how strict they were. They were like, oh,
Right.
you look like you're jumping with 1 foot. And a lot of us athletes are like, that's normally good standards, but they were being extra critical.
Extra. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, what if they think that my burpee wasn't good? If I would have gotten 2 burpees taken away on that workout, that would have been seconds. That would have maybe gave her a first place and taken me out overall.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was super stressful. And then, like I said, just waiting for the response. I think it
Right.
took
Right.
weeks. It was 2 or 3
It was
weeks
a
that I
long
didn't hear
time
back.
this year.
Really
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. It was a really long time. And then they were so we have a girl here that was on the previous podcast that's a very good athlete, and she was inside of the top 50 for her first 2 workouts, and they were asking for videos if you were inside the top 50, hey, send them in.
Yeah.
You had 24 hours to get your videos.
I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't asked, but I heard that.
Yeah. And then it would
you
be
mean top 50 worldwide?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they were they would take a week to get back to you. So that's when you would see a week after the workout, you would see on morning chalk up 16
you see that
got doctor points. And you're like, oh,
I remember that. Yeah. And the names you saw too, you're like, whoa,
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I think Sam Briggs was one of the big names that got docked. I think it was week 1 or something like that. But yeah, it was they're definitely getting a lot more strict about the video review process than in years past. So
for sure. Yeah.
I
think the more thorough, and I'm pretty sure for national champions, they asked me for 2 videos. They asked me for 0.4 and 0.5. 0.4 or 0.5 was my backup video, I believe. This is what we're assuming. I know they definitely reviewed 20.4, the clean and jerk pistols. That was definitely reviewed. But I want to say 20.5 was kind of a backup. Say they had any questions or they needed to look at another video. I think that's what they would go to as their backup. I don't know if they actually reviewed it or not because I never got any information on that. So when they actually gave me my approval, it just said your 20.4 has been approved, and that's it.
Okay.
So I don't know what the process. And it was actually 2 different. You had to submit a link through your games account, how you normally would for regionals and stuff for 20.4. Then they had to do some kind of email one for 20.5. So I don't really know how the process works.
It's it almost seems like it's different for everybody. Everybody
has
a different process, and then everybody's review process is significantly different too. It's
right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of organization on that end of the judging system.
I'm wondering if it's different for national champions because there's so many of us.
Yeah,
national champions, there's 100 of us or something. So
yeah, 100.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's maybe 120.
Yeah.
I think was the number last year.
And that's just on the female side. So I'm thinking it seems like maybe they're being a little more thorough on the top world leaders, or the ones that they know, okay, these people are definitely going to be my top 50 at the games. I don't really know. I mean, that's just an assumption, but but the process that was more thorough was verifying my citizenship. So that's the process that, but obviously there wasn't like nerves with that, because like, I know I'm a citizen. Like, it's just having to prove that, I guess. And especially for me, it was super complicated because, and I actually talked back and forth with HQ several emails after the original submission of my documents, because, and they even emailed me back at one point. They're like, we're sorry. Like, it's like really hard to communicate with 100 different countries. Like every country has different rules. Every country has different laws. So for them to have to actually go through and figure it out for everyone is a process. So I was really patient. I totally understood. But they asked for the documents, and for me, I said I was adopted. So I actually have 2 birth certificates. I have an internal and an external certificate for when I was actually born in Romania and then, brought to the US, and I have another certificate for that. So my birth name is actually Adriana Codor. So when I was adopted, I became Adriana Sabo. And then obviously I'm married. So now then I got brought over here. Then my mom changed my name from Adriana Sabo to Carolyn Sabo when I go by Carrie. So all the names. And then I was actually married. So now I'm Carrie Tobias. So I have to actually go through and be like, okay, here's these 8 different names, and here's the process of like how I became this person. So I have to like show all the documents and actually like explain it. So that was a lot. That took a while, but
you're gonna have like the longest name on your jersey at the games.
Well, hopefully we just keep with the Carrie Tobias. Version. But I felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, here's this document, here's this, and here's this one. I came this, and it was a process. But once they finally got everything done, and when I actually have it on video on Michael's phone, the day I got the email where I got to like, congratulations. I think everybody shares it on Instagram, you have qualified, accept or decline. Like, I recorded it all, put it on video, and I was like, oh, okay, it's over. So, looking back, though, it was fun. It was cool.
So you have had, so you said you've been competing for 5 years here, but you've also kind of competed at regionals on a team, and you just got done competing with Logan at one who's on a team as well. So you kind of have like a little bit of a mixed background. It sounds like when competing. Actually, the games will be your first individual major individual competition, right?
Yes, which is kind of scary. I was hoping to sneak into another sanctional, but
who knows?
Looks like that's gonna happen. Maybe for my gym, but that's about it. So I've actually competed more with a partner and a team than anything. Like even locally. Like I don't even think I competed in one individual competition and I got injured day 2. So I don't even think I finished that competition. Yeah. So
was that was a local comp or?
It was a local. I mean, back in I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Bring the Heat. It's actually a known competition in Houston. And it used to be individual, and it actually used to bring out some big names. I mean, they kind of changed it more to a partner competition. And, we've gone every year. I bring athletes to my gym. We always roll like really deep to that one. We love CrossFit Katie and their team. They run great comps. So that was probably the only one I actually did individually besides competing in the open. And I qualified individually for regionals the last year.
In 2018?
2018. I ended up declining my individual athlete invite and going team. And that was a huge decision for me. It was, that was for back then though. It was a no-brainer. Like, when I first ended up qualifying, I think I was like 26th in the region. So I didn't like make the original top 20, but within a couple declines, I got my invite. And actually leading up to that, I have a really solid competitive group in my gym. And, at the time my husband was still competitive. Like we trained and competed together for years. So at that time he was so competitive, we had a really solid group. We ended up finishing like 15th overall as a gym in the region.
Oh, nice.
But being 15th, I mean, as a gym, that's still a lot of spots. Like individually, like that's pretty much guaranteed you're going to get a spot. But as a gym, that's a lot of people to change out. So we weren't sure. We're like, I don't know. Like usually it's like 3 or 4 maybe get in gyms going from people going individual. But that this year, I mean, I remember I still hadn't even gotten my individual invite yet. And then I just remember getting on the leaderboard and seeing Team Man-Made 15th spot. And this was like a few days after everything closed. And I guess it was after the first wave. And I was like, oh my God, we made it. And I actually had a team training together. And we had already kind of given up hope, or like a week before that. We're like, oh, we're not going to make it. Carrie, you're going individual. I'm training an individual. And a week later, we figured this out. And, you know, I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I do? You know, like I went back and forth, like, do I take my individual? But I automatically, and I actually had, you know, even my husband and like a couple other training partners like, hey, you should take this opportunity, like go individual. And I was like, you know what? No, like me going as a gym, this has always kind of been my husband and I like dream back in the early days of being able to compete together. So, and we actually we were getting married like a couple months before regionals. And like, it was just in my head, I'm like, to experience my first regional with him and with my two other teammates who had been working their butts off with me, especially one of my teammates, Shane, like he trained with me every day, pushed me, worked with me for like over a year. I'm like, he has to come experience this with me. And in my head, I'm like, well, I just go individual next year, you know, like easy. So I ended up going team. And then we went to regionals. Yeah, I don't regret it at all. I'm so glad we did it. I'm glad we got to represent my gym, you know, and the experience with them was so amazing. And then of course though, they like, okay, that was the last year. I was like, well, I guess that's it, you know? So that happened. And like I said earlier, that's kind of when I was like, okay, well, my competitive career's done as a CrossFitter. And because, you know, never in a million years you think, you know, you could be a good regional level athlete, but with the old system, I mean, to qualify for the games, I mean, that's like a super, super slim chance, you know? Yeah, I just kind of thought that's it, you know, and then, so I'm really hoping that COVID does not mess up my game this year, because that would be some really bad luck.
You're not the only one in that boat though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So like, how did you, it wasn't until you obviously saw like the week 3 open announcement with
Alessandro
Pacelli, just freaking blanked on that one. But like, so like you just weren't interested in competing at sanctionals, or you just didn't have a desire to compete at sanctionals? Like what kind of like spurred the change, and what were kind of some of your feelings during like when they announced like, hey, no more regionals, we're changing this up?
Yeah, I mean, no, not at that time. I mean, like I said, I competed in Olympic weightlifting. I went to American Opens, competed at nationals. I think I finished like 13th for my weight class at Olympic weightlifting. And like, I know as an Olympic weightlifter, I could go pretty far. Like if I were to just dedicate myself to like full training for that, I could, you know, do that at a very competitive level. So in my head at the time, I'm just going to focus on this. Like this is something, and I guess at that time too, I just didn't see, I'm like, yeah, I could go do some sanctionals. I'd probably do okay. Would I make a game spot? Probably not, like through a sanctional. And I don't even know if we really knew that's how you could qualify then. Like right when they first, I think we didn't find that out for a few months later.
Yeah.
So I guess, my mindset was just like still train. I love CrossFit. Like, I mean, even I did take a year off from CrossFit to train weightlifting. And this was I want to say the year 2016 to 17. I didn't really train CrossFit. I competed 100% in Olympic weightlifting. And I'm so glad I did, because that year, I mean, now like my lifting is like come so far, and like I'm super competitive in that side. And I'm glad that I had that experience and took that time off. But oh gosh, I kind of forgot where I was going with this. Olympic weightlifting.
So you took some time off from weightlifting. We didn't really know about sanctionals. Like, so you were just kind of like done. It sounds like you were just kind of like done with CrossFit.
Oh yeah. And then my mindset was still like, because even like when I trained, I took that year off and I didn't do any CrossFit. I ended up getting injured a lot. I just, my body just didn't feel great just doing an Olympic weightlifting program. So I slowly started to bring in CrossFit again. And like, you know, I have an amazing weightlifting coach, you know, I know a lot of weightlifting coaches with CrossFitters like, hey, you need to pick, like you need to be a weightlifter or a CrossFitter. And I know that's super common in that side. But my weightlifting coach was always like super supportive of me as a CrossFit athlete. And I think he knows deep down, like that's my sport. You know? So he kind of let me start mixing back in the CrossFit. And once when I was training this too, I was only doing CrossFit like a normal person, you know, like a 1 watt a day, like just because I feel like it kept me healthy, like being able to like vary up my training and my fitness kept me healthier. So I actually was competing in weightlifting, but still doing CrossFit.
Okay.
But then it wasn't until we really heard that news that, hey, you could actually make the games, then I was like, all right, right back, full in. And that's when, I
Yeah.
started contacting, Logan and I got in contact, and that's when we're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
sanctionals, let's do this. I'm back to training 4 hours a day. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the shift, I guess, that happened.
Yeah. So you, so like you would kind of rather go team than individual though, it sounds like in specifically CrossFit.
Yeah,
Um,
I love working with a team.
yeah.
Definitely a team player, like when it comes to especially CrossFit. I love team stuff. I think in the beginning, my earlier days, and I mean, my husband and I talk about this a lot. Some of my teammates that have known me for years through this whole thing. I think one of the reasons why I think now I'm finally building the confidence
Mhm.
that I can be a games athlete. I think back then, I think I've always known you have the physical abilities, but I just didn't want to. Mentally, I didn't have it. Mentally,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you'll never be on that. You can never be that good. And honestly, I probably could have been a higher level competitor years ago if I would have just had
Sure.
believed that I
Yeah.
could. So I think that's the main thing that held me back the longest, and me, being 30 years old now and just getting started, it's a little stressful, especially
I
thinking I
mean,
could
it is
lose
what
a
it is.
year now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the only thing that really
So
held me back.
one question I want to hit on before we hit on another question about kind of mentality and the switch there was, so weightlifting is very much an individual sport.
Yeah.
Like, how did you like what drew you kind of into weightlifting then? Because that is so like individual based and like you're more on the team side of CrossFit. So
Or
like
you
what kind
can,
of drew
easy
you?
question.
Okay.
I don't like competing in weightlifting. I love weightlifting. It terrifies me. Like my coach will tell you, like my weightlifting coach, on the platform by myself, like I want to cry. Like it's awful. Like I'm just good at it, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good at lifting. So being a natural athlete myself, you're good at it, you're gonna do it. But like if I were to like pick an event, like it would be CrossFit floor, tons of fans, friends, people, encouragement. Going to lift on a national stage is like the worst thing ever. Like you're like, oh my God,
Quiet,
it's
like
terrifying. Yeah.
you're on there for like 3 seconds, then
Yes.
you're
Oh
getting
my gosh. And
judged the entire
a lot of
time. Like,
weightlifters, they feed off that. They love that. Personally, like I said, I don't. So
yeah,
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 I'm just good at it. That's why I do it.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
enjoy
it.
training it too, though. Like I do. That sounds like I don't like the sport. I love the sport, obviously. But if I had to
Right.
choose, CrossFit's my element. Yeah.
Yeah, you like training in weightlifting, but you like
Yes.
competing in CrossFit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense. Okay, so getting back to kind of mindset, and that was kind of holding you back a little bit. Was it, the fact that you qualified for the games that started to give you that shift in kind of like that confidence, or what kind of brought about the confidence that you're like starting to understand that like you belong on this stage and like you can compete with these individuals?
I think it really, it took a couple years. But I think it's just seeing like my scores, when some
Yep.
of these workout, like through the open or through other, I did quite a few qualifiers now, online
Mhm.
qualifiers, and just, doing a workout and then like seeing how well I do end up finishing in a workout and seeing it is in that higher level. I think it just was many years, and then just seeing myself actually start to place at higher. I think starting to work on some of my weaknesses in CrossFit that I
Yep.
kind of always avoided.
Okay.
And starting to train those things more and actually realize, okay, you don't have huge holes anymore. I mean, it
Yeah.
took a while. Like, and I still, I mean, actually coaching me for the first time at Wadapalooza, even though I am really confident now, I'm still not sometimes. So it's still
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that I'm getting better at and working at. And
For sure.
definitely having coaches now has been huge. Like poor Logan, he has to listen to me just text him like, oh my God, like, I can't do this. And both of y'all always like, stop it. Like, little things like that. So it
Yeah.
helps having people like tell you constantly. Like, of course, I'm Michael and my teammate, that's different. It's different when
For
it's coming
sure.
from your husband or from like your coach or whatever. So
For sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's definitely like, I mean, I think everybody kind of, struggles with that even at the highest level. Like there's,
Yeah.
mayhem at Wadapalooza. Like it came down to literally a millisecond of touching
Yeah.
that button.
For sure.
They were going there with the want to win that competition, so
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
and I'm sure going into that last workout, there were some doubts in their head as well. So it happens at every level of every competition, and it's just kind of something that you have to work on constantly, like you're doing, to kind of, put those doubts out of your head and understand that you are capable of a lot more than what you are perceiving yourself to be capable of sometimes. So
Yeah.
that was a very cool shift in your mindset here. So, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah. Work in progress. It's definitely come so far.
Yeah, for sure.
And I noticed it in my training, like my daily training too, like just the
pushing
mindset I have just going to every workout.
Yeah. Are you pushing harder now, or?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you feel like it helps? Because Logan comes down and trains with you quite a bit now. Feel like it's helping having like somebody at his level that's there to push as well?
For sure. And I've always had, like I said, I've got great athletes in my gym. I've always been lucky to have like, and I know like in the area that I'm in, like North Houston, Cypress area, like there's quite a few CrossFit gyms. And the good thing about our gym and the other gyms around us is we all kind of have our own niche, We're definitely known as the competitive gym. Of course, if you come to our gym, you see we have athletes of all different ability levels, ages, sizes, whatever. But if you think competitive gym, like where are the competitors at? They're definitely, at our gym. So I've always had like, good training buddies and people to push me, especially right now. I have my training partner, James. We train together like, twice a day right now. And he gives me a huge push, especially like aerobically, like he will run laps around me running. Like, so I have good push, and especially, having Logan come down and, him being on the level he is has made a huge difference. Cause then just having, being able to just not like having someone to chase too, like in the workouts has been cool. I think I was like, well, one of the last workout days that Logan was in town, and one of my hugest weaknesses is machine work, like rowers, bikes. I hate it, and that's pretty much all I train now. Not really, but a lot of what I do. So I'm getting really, really comfortable on them. We did 2 workouts, and like I said, James and Logan were both there. And James is very aerobic. He excels in running, machine work, and then Logan's just an animal on the bike and stuff. So we did 2 workouts. One was just rowing and double press. The other one was bike and dumbbell squat snatch. And I ended up beating both of them in both. I was like, what's happening? Like, I don't beat you all in machine work, So that's kind of cool. And like, I was like super stoked about it all day. I was like, oh, maybe I can be good at this,
Yeah.
So,
that's sweet. That's another little confidence boost there. So
yeah,
he was telling me
better.
Yeah, he was telling me that before was it row and dumbbell squat snatch or bike and dumbbell squat snatch?
The bike and squat snatch,
Yeah, he was like, you better push because I'm going to catch you on this one. He said that
the last round, he was like, you better go hard because I'm going to come. Oh my God. But I hold on.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I just look over and see his bike's like, oh God.
Yeah, it's always like, it's always scary, like leading too, when you like, you're like, you always hear like footsteps behind you. So you're like, oh man, I can't put the dumbbell down. Like I got to just keep going.
Yeah.
So, cool. So, obviously we have some, kind of weird circumstances right now with, the virus going on, and like you said, kind of the games are in limbo, a little bit. So what are you kind of doing, mentally to keep yourself in the game, mentally to, kind of hold out hope that there is going to be the CrossFit Games still? Is there anything specific that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, or maybe some thought processes that you have that you're trying to like keep your focus on?
Yeah, I mean, when this first was talked about, when the COVID first happened, I think, our gym has had to close down for 2 weeks now. The process of how we've closed down has kind of shifted. Obviously we went from just limited classes to no classes to like a few people at the gym to only my coaches working at the gym to now literally me and James and Michael. And, that's about it working out at the gym. So, it's been like a 2-week thing. And then when it first happened, I was like, oh, well, the games is still so far. We don't really need to worry about. So it didn't bother. I wasn't worried at all. And then, as this has gone on longer and longer, it's been, okay, wow, they're canceling the Olympics. Like, who would have thought that would happen, And I was like, oh gosh, that's really close to the CrossFit Games. But still, just not thinking about it, just keep going. And then, of course, this Morning Chalk Up article that just got posted with Dave Castro saying, hey, it's a really good chance we're going to cancel. That's the first time that I was like, oh my God, like this might not happen. But I think I immediately texted you and Logan. I think Logan's the one that sent it to me, and then, immediately messaged you. I'm like, what do I do? And both of y'all, give the advice of, it's not canceled. We just go on like nothing's happening. So like I said, I'm lucky enough to own my own gym to where I can still go to my gym and work out, even though it is just me. So having that day to day, like I still wake up, I still eat my normal breakfast, and I go to the gym and I train, so having that normalcy is really, really good for me, and being able to still train like I am going to the games has been good. I just try not to think about it, until they actually like cancel it. But I've also come to terms with it too. Like, I mean, if they do and it happens, it's kind of like, okay, so what does that mean? I go into the next open in really, really, really good shape because I'm training for the games, which is like 2 months before the open. So I go into the open and, me and, her name's Catalina in Romania, we'll get to go head to head again. And, hopefully, I'll just get my spot again. And, obviously that'd be worst case scenario that I just miss it altogether. But, there's always the next open. So,
so
I guess
you're kind of looking ahead a little bit more. So like, the games is a stop in kind of your journey. It seems like where, there are other stops that are going to end up happening, like the open, other sanctionals next year. There is an end to COVID at some point in time. It will happen.
For sure. Yeah.
It's just like,
hopefully soon.
Yeah. It's just, you're looking at it a little bit more long-term rather than
long-term. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because as I mean, like Logan and I, and, we're us, especially us, we're going to make a push as a team too. Like, we have plans next year. Like I'm still going to do my individual stuff, but I mean, we still have plans for team stuff. Like this is definitely just the beginning of it. So
right.
Yeah. Hopefully like it doesn't come down to missing out this season, but if that's the case, and I try and like really telling myself, puts things into perspective. Like, I can't be over here, with a roof over my head and my awesome gym, my amazing members that are supporting us and, supporting our gym still, but they can't even come work out. And I'm so glad. I'm probably one of the luckiest people I get to go work out at my gym right now. And most people can't. I got people like all this stuff happening around the world, like people like losing their lives over this and stuff. And then I can't be over here sour and mad that I can't go to the games. You know what I mean? So I've been like putting life in perspective, and just trying to be thankful for everything I do have right now, and like keep positive thoughts in that sense, because it could be so much worse. So I'm like, I'm trying not to be salty. It's hard sometimes, and I'm trying not to be.
Yeah. I mean, you have a great perspective of things. Like, you could have very well been like, a nurse that had qualified out of like the Northeast or something like that. Now where COVID's pretty hot, and now all of a sudden you're working, I mean, most people are doing pretty amazing things right now, but like you're working 24/7 with this virus, so you are very fortunate. It's like a good perspective that you've kind of like shifted into. So that's not good.
Sorry, my dog.
Somebody walking outside or something.
Probably just walking down the street.
Squirrel out there or something.
Yeah, who knows?
So
we're like full on play mode right now. So tell me if it gets too loud, I'll throw him outside.
Oh, that's all good. What specifically are you guys focusing on in training right now leading up to the games?
Like what do you, like as far as like program wise?
Like is there, have you and Logan talked at all about like any specific structure that you guys are putting in place, or like, we're working on this for now leading, and then like, come June timeframe we'll work on something else, or do you guys have like place?
I don't ask a lot of questions in that term. Like I kind of told Logan at the beginning, like I just want you to tell me what to do. And I think one thing we all talked about is that I've never really had like, I think my husband, Michael, he runs a gym with me. Like, he made me the athlete that I am, like training under him and us training together from the beginning. But, he was always my coach. But he, works in a career now and everything. So like, I've never really had like a coach, I've never been on a program, like a personalized program ever. And Logan asked me going to Wadapalooza, he had me training for Wadapalooza the weeks leading up to it. Because have you ever prepared for a competition? I was like, no, no, I just go out and compete like I normally do, So, in that sense, like, that's why I tell them, like, look, I don't even I'm not going to ask questions. I just want you to, specifically why you're programming things. I just trust you. Like, tell me, he's got to know me as an athlete. So, obviously there's pretty much one big hole in my training. Oh, I don't want to say hole, but like I said, my aerobic capacity, my machine work. If you look at the Open last year, or last 20 Open, I think I placed like 200 in the world on every workout besides 20.2. And I've always said those workouts, those long 20-minute long workouts that anyone can do are my worst ones. Meaning, double unders, wall balls, rowing, something like that, where it's like just your aerobic capacity to be able to go for a long duration. I've never liked to train that. I'm a power athlete. I'm really good at gymnastics. I like high skill stuff. So I excel in competitions because that comes up a lot more than long grinders. So I think that's an obvious hole of mine. And that's pretty much what I train right now. Like, Logan has me on the rower sometimes for like 45 minutes without even getting off of it. And it's like horrible, like I said, it's working. Like I'm going out and running. Like he has me do like 800-meter repeats like 8 times. I read it. I was like, that's going to take me 3 days. Like, but then I just go out and do it. I'm like, that didn't take 3 days. Wow. Okay. Not that bad, So it's like just having stuff like that where I would not normally do it.
For sure.
I look at a workout, I'm like, I can't do that, and then I end up doing it, and it's,
Yeah.
So I think that's the main focus, is getting my aerobic capacity up, which is actually easier than like getting strength or something like that. So
I mean, you just have to, it's one of those things, like you just have to do it, like it's just, it's mentally a grind, but like if you just put in the work, like it starts to get better. And it's definitely not the fun and sexy, and it's not CrossFit, but it improves your sport like exponentially, especially if you've never like truly touched on it in the past. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. So you obviously own a gym, pre-COVID-19. What were you kind of doing, or how do you balance training and like coaching, owning, doing all the administrative work of a gym?
Yeah. So Michael and I started our gym. We started in 2014. And when we started, I mean, it was us two, like, and we are one of those owners too that are super involved with our gym. Like we have over 100 members now. And again, we've been around since 2014, so we're not like a new gym anymore. In the beginning, we were very, very hands-on in the sense that we did not want anybody else to coach our classes. Like we pride ourselves in our one of our things at Man-Made CrossFit is like, we are very personalized. We make it like, we take it in ourselves. Like we will get to know every single member. We want to know what they do for a living, how many kids they have, what their goals are, what they're coming for. So it's like the only way to do that is to be in there every day, coaching your classes, in control. So we had that mindset for years, and we still do, but we were really hesitant to bring on coaches. Like even like 4 years in, we were like, people would ask us, you need coaches? Like, no, we got it. And we were running all the classes. And then, I would say, gosh, it's been 2 years now, over a year. Michael ended up going off and getting another job. But that shift of Michael going off and pursuing another career, we always planned for, is like something that, we thought we want to get this gym established. And then once it's established, I would take it on as my full time, and he would pursue other things. So he kind of got this great opportunity, took his route. And that was right around the same time of, me starting to pick my training back up. So we ended up bringing on some coaches. So we have now, there's like 7 of us total at our gym. But we have been very, very picky on who we bring on as a coach. Everybody we brought on as a coach to our gym has been somebody that's been a part of our community, has been training under us for at least a year, and has expressed like, who's a big part of our community already. Because like I said, our main focus is to have that individual relationship with our athletes. So I'm not going to just bring on some person that's like, hey, I got my L1, I've been doing this for whatever. I don't even really care about that. I don't care. I want somebody that I know is going to invest as much care and time in each person that I do. So I'm lucky enough to have found that. Like I have an amazing coaching staff right now. And like I said, like, I don't care if they have like 8 degrees or certificates or whatever. They've been coaching for 12 years. I don't care about that. Like I can teach you that. I can help you, with how I want you to coach. I just want that personality, that relationship. So since I found those people that do care like I do, I'm able to step away a little more. But the good thing is, my job is training CrossFit. So I'm up there, I'm still there. I'm still in the gym. I'm still might be in the corner dying, while they're waking up, but I'm still there, So that's how I'm able to still foresee the gym. And, luckily, Michael, he's able to he has a sales job, so he does a lot of stuff remotely. He's able to work in the office, and he's still there. So that's kind
Okay.
of how
Yeah.
we've been able to balance it. I might not be standing in front of the class as much anymore, but I'm still to the
Yeah.
side. I'm on my break from a set. I'm over there coaching so-and-so, or I'm over there chatting with so-and-so. So that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
we're able to still, run the gym and me still train.
For
I think I'm
sure.
just lucky enough to have that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, putting the parts in place, like the coaches, like you were talking about, is huge. Like, I
Huge,
think
yeah.
a lot of gyms miss out on that. Sounds like you guys did it the right way. Do you guys do any like developmental coaching, or like like continuing ed, or like do you guys meet one time a month, or?
Yeah. So, and we're actually starting to do that more, and because like Michael and I have stepped away a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's something that we actually started doing a lot of once right when COVID happened, where
Yeah.
we're bringing in, like, for example, like my personal weightlifting coach, like comes in and he's going to do a 2-hour seminar with my coaches, is helping them stay fresh on their skills and
Oh, okay.
to
Yeah.
teach
Yeah.
our athletes and doing stuff like that. But of course, like when we first bring on a coach, it depends on who it is. Like some of them have been working with us for a long time. We were able to just let them kind of come right in. Some of them we've had to do like 2-3 weeks of just them come in right next to me and coach right beside me. And the whole
Okay.
time, I stand there, I'm like, or I'll say, like in the beginning, I'll lead the class and they'll just listen, and then I let them lead, and then, I give them feedback, so there definitely is. We constantly do that too. Like we are constantly giving feedback to our coaches and, listening to them and watching them and trying to help them develop as much as we can.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like an interesting culture. It seems like that's the culture that people strive to kind of like achieve a little bit more, is where there's like some openness, and like you guys can take, some criticism and feedback from your coaches, and your coaches can take feedback and criticism. So like, did you guys naturally create that? Did you guys have a plan to create that? Or how did you guys create that culture? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Trial and error, I guess. I want to say kind of naturally.
Yeah.
Michael, my husband, he's a extremely smart coach and like own business leader, I guess you could say. I think he definitely takes more. If you put us next to each other, I'm the personality of the two of us. I'm the community oriented, like I'm the plan, you know what I mean? Like get the group together. He's definitely the other side. So I think he's definitely taking more of a lead role on like how to develop the coaches or do that kind of stuff. But again, I don't think we really like sat down and wrote out a plan. It's just kind of like, we know what we want Man-Made CrossFit to be, and we know what we want our coaches to represent. So once we just know that, it's like, how do we get there? Or how do we make sure that that's always happening? And we do stuff like surveys and stuff. Like we actually did a survey. I actually have one of my coaches, her name's Crystal, who's been working with us almost as like my right hand person now that I don't have Michael as much, and she's extremely smart. She has like a past business before she like had kids and stuff. She was, I don't remember her exact career title, executive assistant or something. So she kind of knows all that stuff that like I've never been experienced, as far as business, like how to like write a coach's manual or how to like do stuff like that. So she's kind of stepped in and helped me with that. But one of the things she recommended was, hey, we need to start surveying. We need to talk to our athletes. We need to get feedback like on a personal level. Like, so we did a really cool survey at the beginning of the year where we just emailed all of our athletes and we asked for like really detailed feedback. Like, where can we improve? Like, what do you need? And we got some amazing feedback from that. And we already implemented in so many things. And it's kind of stuff that like as an owner or coach, you just kind of forget about,
For sure.
It could be like the littlest things, but just doing that and just getting more feedback has really helped us put more things together.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Very cool. Very cool. Cool. Well, we're definitely very excited to see you compete at the games here. Fingers crossed again. And, all right. Do you have any other competitions that you were prepping for? I think IOQ 2, International Online Qualifier.
Yeah. So I'm signed up for that. I was signed up for Mayan, Grant, all of them. Like as far as like going to do the qualifier, and then we were going to decide. Were we going to go as a team, or what was I going to do individually? So we have, that, but obviously we'll see what happens with that. That's just been pushed back. Last I heard, it's still happening, but
I know. I'm actually jumping on a phone call here with one of my athletes to kind of chat about that a little bit. So we'll probably know, like, we're going to release this in about 2 weeks here. So we'll have a better idea of COVID and everything when this when this podcast gets released, and probably a better idea of international online qualifier too. But so you're kind of just like in limbo a little bit right now for competitions. Right on.
Yeah.
I think
even locally, I was signed up for like a really fun local competition with some athletes from my gym, and obviously that got actually postponed to the week of the game, so I won't be hopefully competing with that. So besides that, I don't have anything right now.
Yeah, right
I think
on.
anybody really does.
Yeah. I think there's like the CrossFit's doing like some at-home work or competitions.
It's all at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that might be interesting to check out or something like that. I was thinking about maybe just jumping in on that.
Just see, why not, right?
Right. Yeah. So, okay, so to kind of round out the podcast here, we're asking like a kind of like a finishing question, but who is somebody that has been influential to you in your fitness journey?
Oh gosh, I mean, definitely Michael, my husband, for sure, because he was there. I think he was the first person too that ever told me like, "Hey, you're like really good at this." And then of course, like him being in, like, if you know our story, we actually knew each other in high school. Like we were we knew of each other, but we weren't close to friends or anything. We had similar friend groups in college, but never really knew each other. He's the first one that in 2012 is when I started CrossFit. And back then, I mean, CrossFit was in people's garages mostly. Not a lot of people heard of it. He had started it and then reached out to me randomly on Facebook. I was like, hey, I was into like working out and stuff, and I would post my little gym, selfies and whatever. He said, hey, you like to work out? Come try this, And I was like, okay. And that's how I started CrossFit. And then we were just friends from the beginning. And then obviously that led to a relationship. And then that led to us opening our own gym and then getting married. And so he's seen me in every little step, throughout my journey. So I think, and like I said, he's the first one that actually said, hey, you're good at this. Like, you should pursue it. So I would definitely say him.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, how do people find you? How do people find your gym? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah. So, Instagram is like my biggest thing, obviously I'm huge on Instagram. My Instagram, did I just like say my handle?
Yeah. You can just say
my name, Carrie _Tobias. On Instagram. And then Facebook too. I'm on Facebook. I actually just created a Twitter because I was bored and I had nothing to do. I haven't figured that out yet though, but I'm on Twitter. I think I'm like Carrie Tobias 2 or something. I don't know. Haven't really used that though. Yeah. And then, Man-Made CrossFit. We're on Cypress, Northwest Houston. But yeah, just manmadecrossfit.com or on our Facebook page.
Cool. Right on. Well, if you guys thank you for coming on, Carrie. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun too. I was so nervous and I'm like, I think I just talked your ear off for like an hour.
Yeah, right. Carrie was really nervous about this, and then
I'm like, oh God, I don't know what to say.
So, well, if you guys are listening on Spotify or iTunes, make sure you give us a follow if you haven't yet on Instagram, blacklisted.hq. You can follow us on Facebook as well. Make sure you guys follow Carrie, and thanks for listening, guys. Thank you again, Carrie.
Thanks.